The reason I'm doing this is because I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of spaceflight, and I got excited watching these presentations today. They call them pods, and it was cool to me. So I felt motivated, and I wanted to make a just a blog post about it of why it is so cool. And in order for us to survive as a species, we have to be able to move on to another planet. We have to be able to move on to it intelligently um, without messing it up, basically. And I support that. Unfortunately, we have a record of going to the moon 6 times. And of those 6 times, yeah, we've left some of our trash on the moon, but there's a bag of urine on the moon. It was left on the very first flight. And to this day, it's still there. The problem is, if it's 1 in 6, you're looking at almost a 20% failure rate of, living like the Boy Scout mentality, finding a place and leaving it cleaner than it was when you found it. So, that bothers me. But I want to see us do well. I have faith in humanity. Right now it's kind of dwindling, but I do have faith in humanity. I want to see us move out into the solar system. I would love if, someday maybe we do venture out into the stars. Beyond the solar system, beyond Pluto. Beyond Alpha Centauri, which is 4 light years away. It's not going to happen in my lifetime, and I know that. But I want to see it happen. And right now, the way we're going, listening to some presentations, the biggest, and this is known by anybody who listens to space stuff, the biggest driver in spaceflight is money. As they say, no bucks, no Buck Rogers. And that's true. And if you need proof, look at the Ares design. Look at how Congress has changed the rules to the heavy launch vehicle or heavy lift launch vehicle. You've got, essentially, instead of just going for the basic model, they're trying to push it as hard as they can. And what I mean by that is, instead of just going with a basic design that we know works, Congress suddenly becomes an expert on rocket design and says, well, we don't want you to do, 30 or 50 tons to low Earth orbit. We want you to do 130. That takes time to develop that capability. I have a problem with that. And seeing these, Ignite talks, trying to get people interested in spaceflight. I'm going to drift away from the politics because it's almost 2:30 or just after 2:30 in the morning here. But we have to become more intelligent, more educated, and actually give a shit about spaceflight. And right now, nobody cares. The only time they will care is if somebody loses a tool bag, if a toilet on the space station breaks, or if suddenly all communications, internet, weather, GPS, phone, obviously communications, if everything on, a satellite in orbit around Earth fails, that's the only time anybody's going to care. These days, everybody's looking down at their phone doing this and not looking up there to see what's here, 40, 50 years ago, people were doing this and had nothing to look at. So, it's just disheartening for me. And I was excited watching the Space Up because you got to see these people who are actually passionate about it. You have guys like Andy Cochran, Tim Bailey, Kraftlass, who does music for, to show her support of it. She has faith in NASA. I don't. Not anymore, since hearing about some new drama with the way they're going about with proposals. But anyway, people care about this stuff. And they don't realize, like, for example, there are near-Earth objects that are worth an estimated $20 trillion. That's more than twice the national debt of America. $20 trillion for a rock because of the metals it has. But without, for example, venture capitalists saying, yeah, let's build a rocket and go mine it, because it's really, not doing any good for anybody. Instead of building a rocket and, an excavator so that they can break it up and turn it into something useful and bring it back without too much of a hassle, they have no interest in it because, well, NASA's really good at making space boring. Space ups are here to try to change that. I'm sorry, to me, just like Andy Cochran said, these guys are going 18,000 miles an hour. That's not boring. That's actually pretty cool. The fact that we can accelerate something from 0 to 100 in 4 seconds. This thing right here, this thing right here, goes 0 to 100 miles an hour in 4 seconds. At 40 seconds, it's going Mach 1. At, we'll say, 2.5 minutes, it's going about 2,500 miles an hour. By 8.5 minutes, it's going 17,000 plus miles an hour. That's 5 miles every second. This is technology. And people find this boring because NASA's really good at making it like that. But you've got people like, the ones I've mentioned, and also including myself, who give a shit, who find it interesting, who find this kind of stuff exciting, But it just falls on our, we're preaching to the choir. So I'm contributing not only my live show, Rocket Talk and Wingtips, but I'm also contributing this short little blurb, because it's more than your local news will probably carry unless you live near Kennedy Space Center or, maybe one of the NASA centers. But, the further away from like Kennedy you get, the further away you get from that, the less interested the news is. You might see a few lines in a newspaper, mentioning what the shuttle is going to be doing next, or what happened to the shuttle, or something like that. But you don't see the passion behind it. You've got guys who go to the shuttle launches, I would too if I went, who watch it and can't help but get choked up. They get emotional. They choke up, tears in their eyes, all that. They'll say it's dust. It's an exciting thing. It really is. I've never seen one in my life. I want to. I've been a space shuttle fan since 1986 when Challenger was destroyed. And a lot of people don't understand how I could be passionate about something after seeing it blow up. Basically, I learned how it worked, but that's a story for a different day. And the more I learned about it, the more interested I became. So, it's just cool to me. And that kind of sparked the interest in why I'm into this sort of thing. It's a new poster, sort of old. I just decided to throw it for the video. But I like the F-14. That's my favorite fighter jet. But, these things go hand in hand. Spaceflight and aviation have a lot in common. But it just means a lot to me to see society do well. To hope that kids actually pay attention in science class instead of falling asleep or getting bored watching, the biology stuff, the igneous rocks. I mean, yeah, it's all cool. It's not my particular realm. But like I said, you're taking something as massive as the space shuttle is, 200,000 pounds, and launching it at 18,000 miles an hour. The space station. There are a lot of people who don't even know it's up there. So of course they see this bright moving object in the sky, and they suddenly, the police start getting an influx of calls. Tomorrow morning we're going to have some really bright flybys of the space station. And there's going to be people who call in saying that they saw a UFO. And then of course the cops don't know, the police don't know, because they don't follow that stuff either. Nobody has an interest in space. So when you put it into perspective, realize that the space station is the size, actually it's a little bigger, than a football field. Literally. It's 240 feet wide, 360 feet long. That's bigger than a football field. And people see it, it's 220 miles high. But people see it and they think that, oh, that's a UFO. No, it's been up there since 1998. Here we are in 2011, and you're thinking that's a UFO now? Where have you been? So, it drives me nuts, but like I said, I have some faith in humanity still, that we can actually improve as a species, do something productive, try to do it intelligently without spending so much money on on a design when it doesn't need to be as complex as they make it out to be. NASA is always asking for more money, when in reality you could probably do what SpaceX is doing for the same cost as SpaceX. They're just inflating things, and it happens. It's more politics. I'm not going to get into it. So I'm really passionate, and I really want, I'm hoping that this kind of opens up some people's eyes. If you see this tomorrow, go to spacevidcast.com, space vidcast, and type in the search space up, or just go to spacevidcast.com/space up, and click on one of the pods. Take a look in. You'll see pod 1 through 5 or whatever. Take a look, see what's going on. You'll actually find a few interesting talks. Today I went across one that was talking about commercial space. Got into a great discussion in there. We were part of the peanut gallery, those of us in chat, but it sparked so many offshoots, so many discussions about so many interesting things. We had one guy talking about how the space shuttle re-enters the atmosphere. Yeah, a lot of people take that for granted, but at the same time, that's a pretty complex thing. It's very difficult to re-enter precisely, and almost impossible, very close to it, without using computers. And the space shuttle was using computers that literally came out in like 1981. They're old, they're dated, they're historic, they're dinosaurs, whatever you want to call it. Any adjective works. And they're still able to do that. That's a big deal. So, stop in tomorrow if you're still around. Space Up. Just go to spacevidcast.com/space up and you'll find it. Look at all the pods. Stop in any random one. You'll probably come across a really good topic. I popped into a few today. If you're not sure, take a look at the main chat. Guys in the main chat will explain or point out what's being discussed at this particular time. Sometimes the offshoots. And what a Space Up is, I'll just mention this real quick, is they're going to have it in San Diego. They're going to have it in Houston. They're going to have it in D.C., down in Florida. And basically all it is an unconference. And the concept behind it is you can make any topic that pertains to space however you want it. There's no set organization. There's no mandatory minimum time limit that you have to have. There's no maximum time limit. Well, actually, that's not true. There is up to an hour. But basically, they just talk about whatever. And if you come up with an idea, it's like, hey, let's go do an offshoot, like somebody pointed out today. If you have an idea and you're bored of sitting in the space pod that you're in, or the pod that you're in, you literally just write your idea on a note, put the sticky on the wall, just a regular one of these things. You put it on the wall, and then you wander off into the hallway. That way you tell others that you're in the hallway. That's technically another pod. So you can do a topic all your own amongst friends. If I was talking to others here with, people instead of a camera, I'd have a sticky on the wall saying, I'm here talking about this. They would read that, and they would say, oh, he's talking about why it's cool to be in space, or why we should. Done. That's a pod. It's that simple, and anybody can do it. I like that. So, thanks for watching. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off before I can't post it to YouTube. And I will see you guys next time. I may do more of this tomorrow. I don't know. Anyway, check out Space Up. Space Up San Diego and Space Up Houston are tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and keep your eyes to the sky.